Hi, my name is Ruth Michelson with Ruth Hong Art, and in this video I color a rubber ducky. For my rubber ducky, I am going to color in strokes since I'm using a Sakura Koi watercolor brush pen. So I'll go ahead and color the left wing with that particular mark making. By coloring this way, it helps build up that solid color. And now I will go ahead and start to build up the color for the surfboard that the rubber ducky is holding. And as you can see, I create the outline of the board first, and I'll come back and fill in more of the surfboard with color. And as you can see, it's important to take your time when you're coloring, specifically with markers or anything that leaves that streak. It's really nice to see the patterns of the streaks together, but it does remind you to slow down and really enjoy and embrace the coloring process. And now I'll draw an outline of the head of the rubber ducky, which I'll come back and fill in a bit later. And then also outline the tail feather of the rubber ducky. And here I'm using long strokes to fill in that tail feather. Being really diligent and slow as I fill in the body of the duck. And before I color the rest of the head in yellow, I'm going to go ahead and put in some details to the face. So here I'm putting the sunglasses, specifically because it's in black, and so I don't want to smudge the black with the yellow, and putting in the eyes again because the eyes are in black, and I'll come back in and color the rest of the face. For the beak of the rubber ducky, I'm just using a orange marker. And again, I'm being patient as I color in and use deliberate strokes, just so that way it doesn't create streaks when I'm coloring with the marker. I like coloring with the Koi watercolor brush pens because it does allow you to really slow down and take your time as you're filling in your colors. So here I'm using the yellow marker to fill in the rest of the face. And you might see that I'm smudging a little bit of the black from the eyes, but it's much easier to start with the eyes and the sunglasses and come back with the yellow, because you can kind of clean your marker by, just using a piece of paper to wipe off that excess color, and then it'll blend, because it is a watercolor brush pen, it'll blend that black color. It'll be a little bit lighter and you'll see more of the yellow. After finishing the body, I'll move on to coloring the background, and I am using a woody brown color to be a bit representative of sand. And as you can see, I'm using those deliberate strokes in one particular direction, so it's a lot of repetitive motion. So this really helps me keep focus to coloring and remove any distractions from this process of coloring. To give the rubber ducky a bit more definition, I'm going to use some Prismacolor pencil. So here I'm using an indigo blue Prismacolor pencil to add some shadows, and I'm using a cross hatch mark to create the shading, adding a bit more definition to the neck and then the beak of the rubber ducky. And I enjoy combining the watercolor brush pen with the Prismacolor pencils because the watercolor brush pen requires you to really take conscientious strokes so that way it prevents a little bit of that streaking. You do see some streaking in my background, but it's very uniform, and I enjoy that. And then as far as the Prismacolor, it gives a bit more detail to just the watercolor brush pen, so it's nice to combine both to make the rubber ducky pop up a bit. And again, here I'm taking my time as I shade the rest of the ducky. And for the background, I'm going to use a goldenrod color Prismacolor pencil to blend in a bit more of the background. And I'm using the circular mark making that I like to use that's really meditative for me. But I hope the process that I'm showing you will encourage you to find everyday objects, still life, things that might seem ordinary to a person, but somewhat extraordinary when you are able to focus on it. Hopefully you can find a bit of delight in those things that are at home or in your environment. And here's my finished rubber ducky with his surfboard and sunglasses. He reminds me that summer is still very much here. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to like my video and please subscribe to my channel for more inspiration and ideas for your coloring practice.